to exactly identify slide where we have stopped our discussion. This part we have completed or not? This, I guess, we were able to complete. From here we need to start, right? Can anybody confirm?
Yes, sir.
So if you
Yes, sir.
recollect, this is basically we discussed your yield, how to in this problem, our main problem was to how to calculate yield, or basically we, for bond, when we say, we call it YTM, if you remember. But here, because we are talking about a stock, so this is, we call it yield only. Otherwise, in case of bond, because we assume that you are going to keep it for a certain period, so we call it YTM, and here is yield. And this is how interpolation technique you can use for calculating yield for particular stock. Now there could be various trend or various dividend payment policies by the organization. One type of organization, let's say you have dividend policy. When we talk about, I'm sure you must have studied in your basic finance courses. So there we can classify firm into three categories. One category, firm who are even not paying dividend. Second category of firm, those who are paying dividend but irregular payment. And third type of companies you will find that are even they are paying a dividend on regular basis. So when we talk about, let's say, in your firm space, or if your all firms can have either of these three characteristics, either they are paying dividend, they are paying, but there is irregularity, and there are firms who are not paying dividend. So there should be a proper reason why certain firms who are not paying dividend, right? Because we all are rational investor, and whenever company has made profit, and you as a shareholder, you expect that when company is making profit, you should get some benefit or some share from your from your company, because you are a part of company, or you are owner in that company, because you are having some kind of ownership in company through your stock. So if company is not paying dividend, it means there should be some rationale. So what rationale generally we talk about? We think that there could be two scenarios. Scenario number one is company having good projects, and these projects will give some kind of return, right? And remember, you will only allow your firm to use profit for reinvestment, because for financing these projects, company will have always two options. One is internal option, internal financing, and second is external financing. And remember, it is always better to use internal financing. So that's why, because if company goes out and arrange money through institutions like banks, or company go in equity market, issue new share, or company go to debt market and issue debt instrument. or debenture or bond. So this is a costly proposition because it is time consuming, and then you don't know at what rate this firm or your firm can get external financing. So what option company may try? Company may go for internal financing, but you will only give your profit to company for reinvesting in these project when and only when your return or growth would be substantially high, and this growth will depend upon how much return company will generate based on these project and proportion that company is retaining. Remember, so what we are saying in this scenario that company may have any of these policies. So if these policies are there, so there could be some kind of companies who want to retain most of the profit rather than distributing to a shareholder because company having good project. So the only way that a company will be able to retain is when company can provide good return to the shareholder. So this growth in return can be estimated in this way if company is retaining it. So it means this is some kind of proxy or some kind of substitution when company is paying dividend versus company is non-paying dividend. So if company is using all the money for this kind of project, so this kind of return pattern investor may expect. Otherwise, if company is dividend paying company, dividend should show this kind of improvement or increase in dividend with this rate. Means because you should be indifferent as an investor, you should be indifferent between these two choices. So with this, now we will again continue our discussion on dividend discount model where there is some kind of growth rate G. And this growth rate will ensure that there we can represent all your future value of share in terms of dividend. So for that all these discussion we just had. Now coming back to our previous discussion, so we were talking about dividend discount model here, if you remember. So here we took 2 time period and try to see what kind of return you will be getting, or we can go here. So this is about preference share. And now when we go and talk about ordinary share, there is a risk because company may pay dividend, may not pay. So how we can understand dividend discount model? We can understand dividend discount model as price of share as price of particular stock is a kind of function of dividend. Why? Because you can assume that when company has issued dividend, it is going to be in the market for infinite time. And so, of course, one investor may hold for a few years and enjoy dividend and capital appreciation or capital gain. But when that investor sells to another investor, so in that way, we can represent value of a particular stock as a function of dividend, which that stock will give to a stockholder or shareholder. So here we are representing in terms of 1 time period model. If you remember here, 1 time period model we are considering. Initial price of stock was P0 and expecting that after 1 year price of stock will be a P1 and DIV1 will be the expected dividend that company will be giving to their shareholder. And we are assuming that the growth here will be at rate of G. Remember, just now we discussed about G, what kind of growth will be there in case of substitution. So here price we are expecting P, and this is basically increasing by a rate G. It means we can write this as P0 1 plus G. And when we calculate this particular we can obtain this relationship. So what it is saying that price of particular stock will be function of dividend, assuming that there will be a growth rate G. So this is one way of interpretation. Or when we talk about in dividend, so there could be, so if we take we rather than going into a price level, we can also assume that growth is reflecting in terms of dividend payment. So we will take that example. So now here what we are saying that price of a particular stock in terms of infinite dividend, and here we are saying that company is paying dividend, and that's why for every time period we have some dividend amount. So this, and assuming that we can represent price of a stock in terms of dividend, so this equation we are getting. And how the equation we are getting, if you remember this time value of money discussion. So here you are getting D1, you are expecting D2, you are expecting D3, and here expecting Dn, somewhere here Dn, and here T is equal to 0. And these are basically your respective required rate of return. So when you discount this, basically what you are getting the present value of this dividend. When you are discounting this, you are getting present value of this dividend similarly. So you are basically calculating the present value of dividend stream that you will get up to infinite time period, because company is going to operate for infinite time. Now, if we want to further generalize this expression, we can assume that company is paying a constant dividend or constant growth in dividend. And that growth is, let's say, by G. So this is scenario one. Scenario exists, and second scenario exists that your dividends are same. There is no change. So this kind of equation. So here there is no growth. So it's basically constant dividend case, and second case where dividend is growing at constant rate G. So in case of first, when there is constant growth rate G, this expression, basically your D1 become D1 1 plus G. Same way here, you will have the infinite, or if it is n, dn minus 1. If nth term is there, dn minus 1 into 1 plus G n minus 1. So in this way, we can write this expression in terms of geometric series. And when we solve this for nth term, what we will get is this expression, where D0 is basically your initial time period at T is equal to 0 dividend payment. So what we are getting in second scenario, we are getting intrinsic value of particular share as a dividend, which you are expecting 1 year down the line, RS minus G. And this is basically, sometimes we also call this as cost of equity, or we can also represent in terms of KE. So this is how we can calculate. intrinsic value of particular share when there is a constant growth in dividend. And when there is no constant growth, basically we can assume that G is equal to 0. So in that case, if G is equal to 0 in the following formula we see, it will be D1 upon RS. And basically D1 all are equal, which is equal to D. So we can write this as D upon RS. So this is what we are getting when there is no growth in dividend. And second case, when there is growth in dividend, and that growth is basically constant. So these are very simple case where dividend will have some kind of trend. So this part is clear. Can we move forward? So there could be multi-period model, and this is more realistic. Remember, this is more realistic. Why more realistic model we are saying? Because when company is operating, let's say when we look at the, here you have years. So initially when company is operating, company will have this kind of operation. Why this kind of operation? Here, let's say here, if we represent in terms of growth, initial stage, you see, initial stage company will have good growth, because here company is basically starting. So this is initial period or startup period. And then here company will have somewhere maturity. So this at maturity period, what you will find that growth is more or less high, and so this is your peak period. This is your, and then there will be some kind of stable period, and then probably in this region there will be a decline. So what we observe in terms of a firm's life life cycle is initial period. Company will, when company is starting, of course sales or revenue will be less, or in terms of growth, when we say company will have a increasing growth, and after a certain point of time company will reach to peak. So here if we look at entire this pattern, so there will be a phase where in initial stage company will have growth rate GI, which will be less, and then company will have highest growth rate here when company all the projects are doing well, and then in the later stage, so this is when company gets mature. In mature period, you will find three different type of growth rate, because company having this kind of business cycle or operating cycle, and it is applicable to all the firm. You can pick any FMCG firm or any manufacturing firm, because what happens when companies is starting with new product, so there will be more demand, there is less competition. But when other competitors observe that this is very lucrative market, they will also introduce their product, then competition will increase, then that advantage company had earlier, first mover advantage, that will go. So that's why when we look at the business cycle, more or less this kind of growth pattern we will have. Initially some kind of good growth, then we will have highest growth, and then in the later stage it will decline. So that's why when in multi-period model, what we do, we take care of all these variation in a firm, right? And then so where exactly you will have impact? You will have impact here, basically growth rate G that we just talked about. You will have different type of growth rate. So normal growth rate, we calculate this, and then based on how supernormal growth rate is taking place, we will have this kind of trend. We will take one example, then only it is going to be clear. So but still our all the calculation will follow time value of money approach, where based on number of years, based on your dividend payment dividend trend, in this term we will have certain changes. So more or less this is how growth we observe in when we talk about initial a relationship between dividend and growth in dividend. So this is the problem I want you to try, and then we will discuss this problem. Everyone, I'm expecting you all try this problem, and then we will discuss this multi-period model to understand intrinsic value of a particular share. So I'll read this problem. A company earned 6 rupee per share. So basically companies earning, basically you can say earning per share, which is what? Profit after tax divided by number of outstanding share. So this is what, how much? This is rupees 6. Paid 3.8 per share as dividend. So what company has done? Company has paid rupee 3.48 per share as dividend in previous year. Its earning and dividend are expected to grow at 15% for 6 years. So now from year 1 to 6, growth rate will be 15%, and then at 8% indefinitely. So from 7 to infinite, you will have growth rate at 8%. So this is about your growth rate trend. The capitalization rate is 18%. So basically capitalization rate is cost of equity, or RS we discussed, it is 18%. What we are expecting? We are expecting that we have to calculate price of share. So I'm expecting that you all are going to calculate using this provided information. And once you complete, then we will come back and discuss. If you have not understood any point in this problem, you can ask. Yeah, student, if you have anything which is not clear in this particular problem, you can ask, so that you all should be able to at least solve this problem. So I'm assuming that you all got this problem. Now you can work, you can solve this problem, and once you are done, you can raise your hand. So at least 4 or 5 students, I want at least they should be able to solve this before I start discussing solution of this particular problem. So it should not take more than 5 or 10 minutes. If you are using Excel, so hardly it will take 5 minutes. Otherwise, if you are using Calci, so it may take another 5 minutes. So I'm giving you 10 minutes, so you can solve this problem, and then we'll discuss. And anything is not clear in this problem, you can ask. Anyone who is able to complete calculation for this problem? So in this, you are going to use two concepts. One concept is related to time value of money. As I said in my initial session, that time value of money concept is going to be your core concept. You are going to use across domain, and especially in finance domain whenever we talk about any kind of future or present value calculation. And second concept you are going to use here is valuation for common stock. So unless you have understanding of these two concepts, you may not be able to calculate this particular problem. Akshita, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Are you able to solve this problem?
Yes, sir, I'm
Yes,
doing
sir.
it.
Okay, okay. Ananya, Parik. Ananya, can you hear me? Brahmajot? Yeah, Brahmajot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so are you able to solve this problem?
Sir, I'm just doing it, sir. Like it'll be over. Right?
Okay, okay. So I'm expecting at least from you and from other student, uh, they should be able to do this problem. Yeah. Once you are done, you can raise your hand.
Sure, sir.
Ritik?
Yes, sir, I'm doing.
Yeah, Anuj is able to do it. Yeah, Anuj, please wait. Let's at least a few more student complete this problem and then we'll discuss. Anuj, are you from financial engineering?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what approach you have used?
Sir, first I using D by K minus G formula. So where D will be the dividend rate after the stabilization, like 3.48 into 1.15 raised to power 7.
Okay, what you are saying,
Because
you
it is
said
growing
3.48 into 1.15.
1.5.
Okay, 15%, right?
Yes.
1.5.
Raised to power 7.
Okay.
Divided by K minus G, that is 0.18 minus 0.08.
Okay, 0.
And then discounting the to present value.
Okay, yeah. And
And
what about initial part?
so for that, I have added the individual cash flows, the present value of individual cash flows.
Yeah. It seems, you know, you have gone to right direction here. So let's wait for others.
Okay, sir.
See, I'm giving you a clue. You can use it. So what this problem is saying, up to 6th year. So if this is my 6th year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 6th year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in initial 6 year, your growth rate per year is of 15%. So here you will have, if here you have D0. So in this year, D0 1 plus G is 15%. I'm writing G. Here you will have D0 into 1 plus G square. So up to 6th year. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So in 6th year, what you will have D0 1 plus G to the power 6. And in between you have other terms. And now remember your approach, that when you have dividend which is growing at G rate for infinite period. So in that case, remember your value of share will be DIV1, or if growth rate for infinite period in dividend is at G rate, so your price of intrinsic value of your share will be how much dividend 1 year down the line you will get, DIV1 or D1 divided by K or RS, KE minus G. So in this case, you are going to use this technique. And here, so now up to 6 year, this is the scenario. In 7th year, what you need to know, you need to calculate what would be your dividend. Remember, from here up to infinite, your growth rate is at 8%. So from 6th year to 7th year, your dividend would be D0 1 plus G to the power 6 into 1 plus another growth rate. I'll write G prime. G prime is basically, so I'm writing G as 15% and G prime is 8%. So basically this is the dividend value in 7th year. So using this formula, we can calculate value of dividend at the end of 6th year. 6th year. Remember, at the end of 6th year. So this is your 7th year. So when we calculate this formula will give you value of all dividend that you expect in this year at the end of 6th year or at just beginning of the 7th year. So you will be here. It means if you want to calculate present value of this part, it should be further discounted for 6th year. It means this number should be taken back to this point. Then only you will be able to calculate. Yeah, so Anuj, so do you think your calculation is correct?
Yes, sir, my calculation is correct. Sir, I just did one mistake that I took 1.15 into raised to power 7. So
yes, so
after
I hope
correcting, it is.
you got my point.
Yes, sir, I got your point.
Yes, because in your up to 6th year, your calculation was correct. From 6th to 7th, you have different growth rate. So unless we adjust it for one additional year, you cannot get D7 or a dividend you are expecting in 7th year. And then you need to and when you know that, then only we can calculate. So this is solution that I was talking about. For 6th year, this is the calculation. So all informations are given. So what you can do, you can use here present value annuity formula. If you remember annuity formula, remember amount 1 minus 1 plus r to the power minus n upon r. This was the annuity formula, present value of annuity. So rather than going step by step, you can directly plug this number and get it. But here you will have to make some kind of adjustment because there is a growing trend. So you will have to adjust here r value. And up to 6th year, when you calculate, this is what you get. So on timeline, $19.19. And now coming back to 7th year. So 7th year is what? Your 6th year. Remember, this is your D6. Dividend in 6th year. Dividend in 6th year, if I multiply by G prime, 1 plus G prime, so then you will get dividend in 7th year. And when we, so this is K minus G, KE minus G prime, because here prime means we are saying 8%. So when we calculate, it comes 86.90. But this is the value of your stock from 6th year onwards up to infinite. It means this value is here somewhere. So 86.90 is the present value of all dividend that you will get at the end of 6th year. It means it needs to be discounted back to here at present time or t is equal to 0. So for that, we need to discount it for 6th year. And once you do, you will get 32.90. So 19 for initial 6th year, remember, for initial 6th year, we got 19 and 32.9 is present value of dividend that you will get from 7 years up to infinite time period. So overall, your value of particular stock or this particular multi-period stock will come 51.29 rupees. So the one major difference between previous and this is we had two type of growth. Initial growth, which was very high, and then a perpetual growth. And again, in this, our assumption is company is paying dividend regularly. and there is a trend. Initial 15% growth rate was there because company had good project, good demand for goods or services, and in second stage, stable growth rate, and that's why 8% growth rate we have assumed. Yeah, if you have any problem in getting this particular solution, you can ask anywhere you are not clear. Because there could be, more difficult situation. Here you have only 2 time period, there could be 3 time period. When you have 3 time period, you will have to, on timeline, first you represent your cash inflow or outflow, and then you need to think about discounting all those values. Otherwise, you won't be able to calculate correctly. So here you see this is very ideal scenario, or a kind of a specific example of use of time value of money concept, plus your concept related to valuation of common stock. Can we move forward? Is it clear, everyone? If everyone got this problem, it's fine. Otherwise, if you want to discuss anything, we will discuss. Okay, so I believe you all got this problem, so we will move forward. So this is what we just talked about. There could be a scenario where you will have varying dividend growth model. So already we talked, this is another problem where you have similar kind of varying dividend growth scenario. So this I am leaving because already we talked about. Now, whenever we talk about valuation, once you complete your valuation, so in valuation we have only considered dividend discount model. Dividend discount model. So there are other models as well, but because this is your very basic course, so that's why we are not going into those domain. For example, when you go and when you are going to take your business valuation course, you may come across relative valuation. Relative valuation. Then valuation based on free cash flow. Free cash flow based valuation. So these things we are not going to discuss because this is very specific area. When we go into, then probably we may not be able to cover concept related to financial institutions and market. So here we are restricting our discussion to dividend discount model, but for your understanding, there are other models, and you know why? Because in dividend discount model we are assuming that company is a dividend paying company. Whereas in relative valuation and free cash flow, we can relax this assumption. And when we go and look at equity research report, equity research report or equity report, let's say you go Motilal Oswal or ICICI Security. So they will give you some kind of recommendation whether you should buy stock, hold it, or you should ideally sell. So they will give you, their price. So if your stock is overvalued, undervalued, so based on that recommendation would be given. And that intrinsic value of a stock calculation may be, done either dividend discount model based on company's characteristic or other two models. You will find relative valuation is more frequently used, and then free cash flow, and then dividend discount model. So now once we know your value of intrinsic value of a stock here, whatever we talked about. So once you know the intrinsic value of a stock, you can decide whether you should buy, hold or sell. And that will be decided whether your stock is undervalued or overvalued. So what we mean by undervalue, let's say when you calculate price intrinsic value, let's say P0 we are calling. If intrinsic value of a stock is P and market price, we are representing by PN. So there could be, three scenario. Either it will be high, low, or equal. So we will look at undervalue means a stock is having, market price is less than intrinsic value or present value. It means this kind of scenario. Why we are calling it high undervalue stock? Because ideal price of this stock should be P0. For example, let's say a stock is being traded at 95 rupees. But when you calculate present value of this stock or intrinsic value of this stock, it comes around 100 rupees. So what we can conclude? We can conclude that when we analyze the fundamental of firm, it suggests that ideal value or this value of each stock should be at least 100 rupees. But in market, it is being traded at 95. So what we can infer? We can infer that price of this stock will go further up to match the intrinsic value. It means it is undervalued by 5 rupee or $5. So it means in this kind of scenario, when a stock is undervalued, so either you should go for buy if you are not holding this stock, or you should, if you are holding, you should hold it. Why I am saying? Because there is still possibility that stock will go up by 5 rupee because firm's fundamental value or intrinsic value is suggesting so. So this scenario we call it undervalue because a stock having potential to reach at 100 rupee, but in the market it is being traded at 95 or less than the intrinsic value, and that's why we are saying undervalued stock. Exactly opposite scenario when intrinsic value, when a stock is traded at 100 rupee, whereas intrinsic value is traded at 95. Or intrinsic value, basically when you calculate it comes 95. So what it suggests that your stock is being traded at least 5 rupee up above than market, above than ideal value or intrinsic value. It means in future when market will know that they are trading at high price of those stock will come down because nobody will pay premium unless there is a strong reason for that. So because it is being traded at higher price than intrinsic value, there will be adjustment and price of this stock will go down, and that's why these stock we suggest that we should sell or do not buy. So if you are holding, you will you will receive some kind of recommendation from your ICICI Direct or from your analysis itself. Ideally, you should sell these stock because if you sell, you will get at least 5%, 5 rupee premium. Why 5? Because true value is 95, but in the market it is at 100. So when people start realizing that intrinsic value is less, there will be high selling. If selling is high, or when supply is high, there will be supply pressure and price of these stock will come down. So basically, in ideal situation, price of 100 rupees stock, in case of overpriced condition, it will come down to 95. And third scenario, you already know, when your intrinsic value is equal to market value. So we call it, this is a fair price. Means in market is also trading in market, stock is traded at the same price at which its ideal value is there. So this is the fair condition. That's what when we talk about this, let's say in a particular stock market, most of the stocks having fair price in the market. So we can assume that this market seems efficient. because when we say efficient, we are referring to, information flow, and how that information flow is going to, reflect in terms of stock price. So this is what, we should know whenever we talk about underprice or overprice of a stock based on market value and intrinsic value. Intrinsic value we have calculated previously, and market value we can easily, get from the market. So we will stop our discussion up to, up to this slide. If you have any question, we can take. Otherwise, we will meet tomorrow. And next week, I think, next week on Wednesday, you will have a quiz, online quiz. So I'll let you know on which platform, whether Moodle or on MS Team. But next week, you will have quiz. So I'll share all these slides. I believe after tomorrow, we'll be able to complete, our discussion on valuation, and then I'll be uploading all these slides for your reference. So if you have any question, you can ask. Students, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I'm concluding today's session. So tomorrow we will complete this module and start a new module. And next week you will have quiz. I'll be updating you, more, whether on Moodle or on MS Team. Fine. So thank you. So we will meet tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.